So if it wasn't already incredibly apparent, I love video games quite a bit. All different shapes and sizes, all different genres, short ones, long ones, big developers, indie developers, scary, not scary, just all over the board. Even ones that I really don't think I'm going to enjoy, I end up sort of enjoying. Tonight I played Bitburner, a hacking game. I had the time of my life. But if I have a soft spot, the soft spot is definitely fantasy RPGs. And within the soft spot of fantasy RPGs, there is a softer spot that is specifically for the Elder Scrolls. I have a special place within my heart for Elder Scrolls Online. I have my qualms with it. I have my qualms with most MMOs, but I would be lying if I said I have not devoted a very large amount of my life to it. So large, in fact, that it kind of took me off guard today when I looked at Elder Scrolls Online on the Xbox app. So yeah, you can see that I've spent quite a bit of time virtually living in Tamriel, and in my defense, okay, I I existed during COVID as an adult who was laid off from his job. So I had a lot of time where the government was forcing me to stay in my home, and Tamriel seemed like a better option than circling my living room. All that to say, I really liked the game. The dungeons, the group dungeons, once you get to a certain level, you can just kind of solo the group dungeons, so it's really not that big of a deal. The problem I had was with like the PvP, because similar to things like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't have the time, or rather, I don't want to dedicate the time to making the perfect team or making the perfect character with optimized stats and like the absolute best gear and weapons. It's just not something I have time for. I want to go outside where the people are. My fondest memories overall are of the house designing. Okay, I was never really big into Sims. I wasn't allowed to play it as a kid because my parents found out that the characters could woohoo, and then I was not allowed anywhere near it. But ESO gave me the ability to create homesteads within my favorite fictional universe, and I have a couple. I have spent some time. I am also sort of half ashamed to admit that I have spent money on this game. I'm usually someone who avoids spending money on video games for things like furniture and clothes, but I just, I had a moment of weakness like that lady with her Candy Crush addiction back in the day, you know what I mean? Anyways, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna tour a few of my houses in ESO because they deserve recognition. When I was making these houses back in the day, I remember thinking even then, like, I can't wait. There's gonna be a day. There's gonna be a day that I'm gonna show these off. And today is that day, or rather, tonight is that day. So buckle up. You're about to see some of the finest home design Tamriel has to offer. And before we get in here, okay, before we get in here, yes, I have a problem with character creation. Okay, I don't want to hear anything about it. I don't want to see anything about it. I may have purchased enough character slots so that I now have 15. And yes, maybe I have a problem because I just like creating characters and backstories. Okay, um, so what? So what? This is the original one. The original one from like 2014, that one doesn't exist anymore. Sadly, I think I actually got rid of it, but this is like the oldest one I have. Um, but you know what? We're gonna do Spicy Paw. I like Spicy Paw. He's got a little rat. Silver scales. I tried silver scales, but someone had taken it. Unfortunately, someone had already taken silver scales. Um, and actually, no, we're gonna do silver scales. But yeah, you can imagine my devastation, shock, and horror when not only silver scales, but silver scale, and every variation of silver scale or silver scales was taken. How perfect. We're already in one of my houses. And that's actually funny because that means the last time I played this game, it was just to look at my house. So this is the Antiquarian's Alpine Gallery. This is the one that is in Western Skyrim. All right, so we're gonna first person this. All right, I got my guard wolf. Right. Actually, we're gonna third person this. It's easier that way, I think. Yeah. So we've got a garden. You know, nice little garden with some nice little lanterns, some statues. It goes on both sides. I feel like a realtor. We've got some Morrowind flora here because silver scales would have been, from Morrowind, unfortunately. We got some mammoth tusks, Argonian decoration, which continues inside. We'll get to the inside in a second, but also just want to point out the master alchemy thing. That took me a long time, so I'd like to. That's the only thing in life that I allow myself to brag about. That is where Darien is buried, canonically for me. Don't know. This is also exposing myself on a level I never really thought I was going to, especially for the whole internet, so excuse my nerdy lore stuff if my head canon. This is a Nordic shrine over here because I also like to imagine that all of my characters are like part of a big adventuring gang, Not like gang, but like adventuring group. So they all live here. It's like a group home. I have a guard, I guess. Nice little sitting area. Don't know what this is. Looks cool. Could that be... Hold on, we need to find out what this is. Oh, it's a Zen idol. I was like, if that's Dibella, I'm gonna lose my shit, because that would be some wild foreshadowing. Big old parasol mushroom. Some beautiful northern lights tonight. I will say I was really disappointed when I got this chair. I thought I was actually going to be able to sit in it, but that is not the case. Always liked this, like the stone walkways with trees growing out of it. Something about it feels like very Mediterranean to me, and so I always was ready for that. Wanted that. We got more burial areas back here. We got some yucca. That's what that is. Let's not be fooling anyone. And then back here is where I decided to put that, the Khajiit wall that sings to you. In real life, I would absolutely want to spend time in Elsewhere. Just the coolest people ever. Coolest people ever. Except for the Argonians, of course, because Argonians are my favorite. But to the inside, because that's where the real magic happens. That's where I spent a lot of my time and some of my money to create what was meant to be like an Argonian archaeologist's home. Alright, so you've got the ancient Argonian table with the matching chairs. You got some food, some soupware, a glowing sweet roll. That one I remember for sure was an impulse pie. Same thing with the cheesecake. The shivering cheese. Just kidding, it's just cheese, not cheesecake. There is indeed a throne. Of course, there's a throne. With my favorite pet, Franklin. That's what I think I named the spider. Give it a sit. Not like that. Give it a sit proper. Fantastic. Boom. Tried to put up as much art as I could whenever I found pieces of art. This over here was meant to be like a... I think at this point in my life I was very into like sewing and crochet. I still crochet, I do not sew. I was trying to make clothes at the time, and so I was really role-playing at this point. I was like, you know what, this is going to be my little sewing area. Over here we have treasure. Solid. That's so cute. He just goes into a little ball. It's like a cat curling up. But it's a dwarven mechanism. Oh, the vampire window. It's kind of cool going through these houses too, because like this one obviously started in Western Skyrim, but with the one that is in, there's 3 houses we're going to visit today. There's this one in Western Skyrim, there's one in Craglorn. That one is more of a progressional journey because that one I've had for a long time. And then there is one in Black Marsh, but I can't remember where. Anyways, what I was trying to say is you can see the progression of time with like the decorations and stuff. This is like a split. Oh!
My only regrets are things I haven't done yet, so I prefer to think of them as goals.
I completely, you know what? Forgive me. I completely forgot that Bastion even existed. Needless to say, when they came out with companions and I saw this man, it was all said and done from there. And now he lives with me. This would be our bedroom then. I was going to say my bedroom, but this would be our bedroom. Got some Khajiit artwork here. Bessie bed. I tried to make it look like there was a lot of books because I wanted it to be like intelligent, you know? And then over here is the bedroom for my other main character, which is an Argonian. I think it's an Argonian girl too. And she has like the nice luxurious robes. Imagine like getting a nice swim out back in the pond and then coming in your luxurious robes and like what a charmed life this would be. You know what I mean? Nice little Perrier statue. But yeah, that is the gist of the Antiquarian Alpine Gallery. Oh wait, let's look at the artwork. Hold on. Because there's a decent amount. You got this from... Excuse me. You got this from Blackwood? Whatever the one in South Cyrodiil, that one. Orsinium. I can't remember what that one is, or that one. That one is Craglorn, for sure, for sure. But, oh, that one's the Clockwork City, up there. And then we got some heads on the wall. Nasty. I remember trying to fight him. There's only a couple, like, I forget what it is, trial or whatever? Group dungeon. The group dungeons, it's different. Like, I can beat group dungeons on my own. But there was, like, Falkreath. Trying to beat this Minotaur took me like 40 minutes, I swear. Because I was doing it with a healing character, my original character. And, it just was a long, long time. But, oh, is that a chicken? It's a rooster, but yeah. Alright. I think y'all get the gist of this one. Let's move on to the next home. Also, side note, I did not buy all of these decorations. I bought a decent amount of them, but some of them I also found with the archaeology expansion in Western Skyrim. Like, I think that's what happened with the Ayleid Well. Got a little sitting spot over here. Oh god. Is that who I think it is? I love this guy.
This place is so, I don't know, domestic. Where do you keep your trolls? You do have some trolls here, right? I was specifically told there would be trolls.
There are trolls for sure on the other side of that wall. Now you just sit your pretty little skull right there and be quiet. Oh, this was fun. I made like waypoint stones. North, east. Oh! Hello. I forgot. I always forget that there's other people. Like, you can just put NPCs in your house. And so I'm like, who are you? Why are you here? Oh, wow. This is rather intricate. Sometimes I impress even myself. What is this? What is all this? Okay. What are you... Oh, how adorable. But this is what I'm interested over here. This is this Greco-Roman... Well, it's Imperial, let's be real. But Imperial, what are you? What are you if not Greco-Roman, right? Stunning. Beautiful. Alright, let's get inside. Domus Fresticus. Yeah, I was just about to say, I feel like this one is a little more minimal. The progressive decoration was just on the outside. Because I also think I may have taken things from here for other houses. But here's the kitty. I think I eventually... Like, at first, I only had the haunted house cat that I named after my cat, Sophie, who's currently asleep by my feet. But I think I eventually did find the actual straight-up black cat and named it Sophocles after my cat, who's Sophocles or Sophie. But yeah, just a nice little modest bedroom here in Craglorn, which I guess is a war zone. Not like a war zone, but like troops traveling back and forth. Definitely kind of a more mild, but still important, mostly for the nostalgia, home. What I'm really excited for is what's coming up next, because as I've said multiple times, and as you probably noticed from my OC being an Argonian, is I'm obsessed with Argonians. So my house in Stormhold, I love. It is Argonian themed. It just makes sense. And that's where we're going now.
There you are.
Oh, dude.
Only you can see me.
I have no time for that right now. Sorry, I'm doing an HGTV thing. Okay? Or rather, just a GTV thing. Ah, see, it doesn't look that good, but it is very nice. And I will say it's a little deceptive of a picture because you don't get the hole in the center. Like, you don't get a little cutout thing. But anyways. We've got Argonian little pillows here for the fire. We've got a nice ancient Argonian calendar with all the months in it. A nice ancient Argonian fireplace. Everything is ancient Argonian, so I'm just gonna cut that part out and we're gonna go from there. A nice fireplace. Guar statue. I like to imagine that he comes here and is like, okay, what day is it, dude? Woo. Actually, what it is the character, like I said before, one of my characters on ESO is a female Argonian, and so this little baby hist tree over here. First of all, there's a pequar. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. This baby hist tree over here is supposed to be like a child of the gigantic history, wherever that is in Shadowfen. And my character had an egg. And then, yo, maybe Silver Scales is the dad. And I just didn't know, like 5 years ago when I made this, that Silver Scales was the dad and was gonna be coming back here in the future to check on the egg. Okay. Anyways, she's also a magician. She's like a straight up sorcerer. So floating candles, you got some nice ambience with the fog rising out of the swamp. Yeah, lots of potential at this home. Got some modern Argonian stuff, honoring the old and the new. Not to mention the Aliad influence, which is kind of hard to deny. I always thought it was very interesting how the Argonians were here first, and then the Aliads showed up, and then the Argonians apparently kicked them out. And then the Dark Elves showed up and took over, and then it was kind of just downhill from there. As you can also tell, by being an Argonian enthusiast, I am in fact a Dunmer hater, so. Yep, you can tell this is her home because, again, the textiles was really thinking that was going to be something in my life, but, but no. Nice little sitting area over here where you could entertain or you could read. You'd have guests sleep out here. It is a modest domicile, so it is, you know, chill. But this little kitchen, I really ended up liking. I put a lot of time into this back in the day. And again, very modest, but I love it. I love it quite a bit. You get like sacks of flour underneath, some gourds. You know, you get a little chop block back there. A little fire over here to keep warm, because even in the swamp, it does get cold at night sometimes. Over here we have a statue to the Dreadfather because Argonians do worship Sithis. Not like all of them actively worshipping Sithis, but they kind of view him as a deity that is important. So, of course, you gotta have that. More books, some scrolls, because she's a magician. Chest, which I don't know if I can access any of these chests. And then a nice double bed. I'm not gonna lie, I know these are supposed to look kind of like cheap because they're just mats and furs, but the fur beds in Skyrim always looked, well, in Elder Scrolls games, the fur beds always looked so comfortable. So comfortable. Man. Like, I would live here. I would live in this little mud hut. Are you kidding me? I think it'd be charming. Just keep the floor swept. It'd be fine. I think you could add... I tapped out... What happens with being ESO is we're like a couple that breaks up and then gets back together over and over and over again. And... What the hell? Oh, it's the little thing. It's the little fairy Nixad thing. Oh my god. I was like, who's snickering? Who's sitting there like giggling in my ear? Anyways, ESO and I break up and get back together like every couple of months or years. And so in one of those breakup periods, I think they added dummies. So I could in theory add like a training dummy to my yard and sit here and whack away at it. I don't think Silver Scales can do much yet. I don't even know what he does. He's a healer for some reason. But that's okay. The point of this wasn't to do any combat, it was just to show off the houses, and we have accomplished that. So thank you very much for joining me on this little Tamrielic MTV Cribs. I don't know exactly how well ESO would function in full form, like doing dungeons and quests and whatnot, and recording, But if that's something you guys would like to see, I am always more than willing to play Elder Scrolls Online. And we could do Silver Scales there as well. That could become like a bi-weekly thing or something, you know? So, anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.